Hey, good day everyone. So today we are working on a 2006 Infiniti G35x on this V6 engine, and it appears we have, I'm trying to show you, a valve cover gasket leak. Actually get in there. Sort of hard to see from here, but that area is all greasy right there where my light is. And then also in the front right here underneath, right there, I can see some oil leaking. And if I leave the car parked in the garage for about 5 or 10 minutes, after coming from someplace, there's usually a few drops of oil on the floor. So we have the valve cover gasket here. That's the part number. So we're gonna install. So we're gonna remove this engine cover, remove the intake first, and then there's a plenum, and then upper plenum and a lower plenum. And we gotta remove some of the fuel rails, the spark plugs. I also ordered spark plugs. Since I'm gonna be opening up everything, I'm gonna change those as well. So we're gonna show you how to change the valve cover gasket, spark plugs, coils, and look at other things as we are going to be removing a lot of stuff. All right, guys, the engine cover has 4, 10 millimeter bolts. So I'm going to remove those. All right, guys, I took out the engine cover, and so now I'm going to take off the intake. We got one screw, one right here, bolt right here, a connector right here. This vacuum line, and take out this intake boot as well, that intake hose. Maybe we're gonna take out this box as well. So that's what we're gonna do now. So in order to take out this connector, we just push this in and it comes out. All right, guys, I've loosened those screws and bolts. I'm gonna take out this vacuum line. Move this back. I've loosened this 8 millimeter nut. So I'm going to take out this vacuum line. And you want to make sure you do this carefully because nothing breaks. All right, guys, I'm also taking this out. There was a 10 millimeter bolt right there. Take this out. I'm going to take this out. There was a clip right there, sort of like this. They're just going to break, so I'm just going to have to buy new ones. So that comes out. This is gonna come out. It's gonna be easier to take the intake off. All right, guys, wiggle this around. Got it out of the intake. Left the filter in there first because it was difficult. Now you can take out the filter. You can even clean this out before you put it back. The stuff on the floor. And then you can take that piece out right there. All right, guys, there was another, get in there, another bolt right there, which I loosened. And now I'm gonna try to take out this vacuum line. It's pretty hard, so I put a screwdriver in there. And I'm able to push it back. And so this is gonna come out right there. And I'm looking and I'm noticing my boot is ripped here. And maybe even ripped somewhere else. So we'll see if we're gonna order a new one later on or if this is gonna work. All right, guys, I'm able to remove this boot, and it comes with this piece at the bottom. Looks like this is okay, but this piece, the boot that's attached to the throttle body, is ripped. So we'll take this one out now. And we'll see, maybe we'll order a new one, or maybe, yeah, it's completely torn. Probably gotta order a new one. So after we remove the intake, you can see, hopefully, It's still hard to see. You can see all that grease right there. And it's leaking right there and falling. All right guys, so now I'm gonna remove this plenum, and I believe there's 18 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and right there at the back, 17, 18. Yeah, I may have miscounted those, but there are 18. Here's the thing with these. These are different sizes, so you need to mark where the bolts are coming out of, or you can just loosen them and take the whole thing out. You gotta remove this vacuum line. There are multiple diagrams on the internet and in other videos that show you the labels of all 18, and I will try to put that over here as well. All right guys, I did not remove that vacuum hose from that side, but I removed it from this side, and we have the plenum pretty much all loose. I'm gonna just loosen the bolts, make sure we got them all. I'm gonna remove this vacuum line. I'm ready to remove the plenum. All right guys, what I did is I've numbered according to a diagram I found online what the screw numbers are, and I'll show you why. So here's number 5, and I'm gonna take mask, tape, and just tape this around there to indicate it's number 5. And here's number 3, and you can see one is longer and one has more threads. However, I did check, 11, 7, and 10. They all appear to be the same. So just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna number it. And here's what I meant when I take out the screw. I know this is screw number 5. I'll put it back in that slot. So I'm gonna do that for all the screws. All right guys, I've labeled all the numbers, put the tape on. I got my plenum almost all out. Up here, there's a vacuum line or a connector back here, which I gotta take out, which is preventing this from coming out. So let me get my light. See what's holding it. Let's see. All right, guys. So there's a vacuum line right there underneath the throttle body. So I gotta remove that. And then I also removed the connector right there, which goes to the throttle body. All right, guys, there was actually another vacuum line right here. Right there, where the green liquid is coming out, that's the antifreeze. And this is the line that was right there. So what I did is, because there's antifreeze in there, I just plugged in a spark plug that I had lying around so it won't, leak anywhere. All right, guys, I got the plenum off. The hardest thing was removing this vacuum line because you had an angle in there, and then there was another vacuum line, this one with the spark plug. But by far, this probably took me like 15-20 minutes to wiggle, get in there. I was trying to take it off the other side, but I couldn't. So you can see there's a lot of carbon built up here. And again, you're gonna do the same thing with these screws. Apparently there's a pattern. So I'm just gonna do the same thing, or try to remember from another video. All right, guys, what I'm gonna do is just gonna remember. I'm gonna do a zigzag pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how I'm gonna remember my labels. All right, guys, I got the bolts off. They're all over here again, labeled 1 through 6. I got those 6 removed, but then there were, I guess there's one bolt right there. And here's one bolt right here. Let me get the bolt. It's actually a nut. There you go, that's gonna come off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this. So okay. We have this vacuum line, which I'm gonna have to remove. But I think we should be able to take it out. All right, guys, so got the lower plenum off. So we're making progress. Look at those valves, pretty filthy, but what we're gonna do, the first thing is we're gonna put a rag over all 6 valves. And here's the valve cover. So we're gonna try to remove, so we'll probably have to take out this fuel line and then maybe the coils. Guys, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the coils and the connectors. So cylinders, I guess 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm gonna label them 4, 5, 6 with my tape. And I'll take off this vacuum line. And then hopefully now you can start seeing the leak. So that's what we're gonna try to do. I think I'm gonna have to remove some stuff from here. We'll see. All right, guys, got the spark plugs out, and I'm gonna remove the coils. 10mm bolts again. All right, guys, I've removed the coils, and there's no oil in it, which is a good thing. All right, so now I gotta remove a few 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe close to 10 of them. All right, guys, I got the valve cover gasket hopefully out on this side. The hardest screw was the one in the corner here by the pipe. There's sort of like a firewall over here, so it's hard to get to the screw. I used a smaller ratchet right here for it, and I've used various other extensions. As you can see, that's where it was mainly leaking from. So it seems like I can wiggle this out. I'm just gonna have to maneuver it around this hose, and I'm gonna have to take this hose off. Gotta figure out how I can take that out, and then I'll do it. All right, guys, so it was leaking basically from the front here, and all the oil was falling down, and I don't know if it was just not in there. I'll take a look at it. The gasket, let me take it out, and I'm gonna have to remove this hose from that corner right here. These do get brittle, so this may break, but you know, the engine looks actually pretty good, no sludge. Took a closer look at it, but looks like the spark plugs, we'll take a look at them. I do have new spark plugs just in case. All right, guys, I got that hose out. Had to pull on it very hard. All right, so let's take a look. I mean, honestly, I really don't see where it's cracked or anything, but it was leaking from this side, but this side wasn't set properly. But you know, since we opened up everything, we will just swap it out. One of the problems with these is when you go back and set them down, it's hard to get it aligned. And so maybe when they sat it down, you know, that's when it just got out of alignment. All right, now what I'm gonna do is remove all the switches and clips from this side so we can remove the valve cover from this side because it's also leaking from the left, lower left. All right, guys, so that's where the valve cover sat, and this is all that grease that I was able to see previously that prompted me to say, hey, the valve cover is leaking. It's pretty bad in there. I'm not sure how well it shows on camera, but I'm gonna take some brake cleaner at the end, clean it up. All right, guys, before going on to the other side, what I did is I removed the spark plugs. Honestly, I took out this one. It didn't look bad. Let me just take out the extension here. These are Bosch double iridium plugs. Yeah. It looks to be in good shape, but they're covering in oil. They're the ones that I got. They are, that's the part number. All right, guys, we've made progress. We've removed the connectors from the left side. We've removed the coils. I've labeled 1, 2, and 3. I've taken out the coils and labeled them 1, 2, and 3. There was this switch right here, this connector, which was connected into this blue switch, and then this was held on with a bolt right there. All right, so I have to make some room here. Let me see what else I have to move. All right, guys, I got 7 of the bolts out on this side. Having difficulty, so I'm gonna go remove this vacuum line. Give me clearance to take out 2 bolts. And then there's 1 bolt down there, and it's rusted. I can't seem to get that one out. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm still having a hard time with these wires. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically take this out, take these 2 bolts off. I've unplugged the negative terminal just to be on the safe side. And hopefully all these wires can go on the side. And then I can work at the corner. All right, guys, so what I did is I took out this main connector. No, that wasn't it. This connector right here. This one from that one. And then I am going to remove this connector so these wires can basically move freely. All right, guys, so I'm going to clean the plenum. It was filthy, and you can see how filthy it is, and you can see how good of a job the spray is doing cleaning it. So you can just see all that felt, all that oil carbon buildup. But there you go. And this is after spraying an entire bottle. So we're gonna get some good engine performance as well. Okay, the next thing I did is I cleaned the valve cover gasket. And it appeared that the person that put the gasket on last time used super glue to hold the gasket. It was hard to get that out, but we tried with carb cleaner and brake cleaner. I'm gonna scrub it with a brush that can get inside the grooves. As you can see, we got some debris there. All right, now we're gonna clean the upper plenum, spray some brake cleaner and carb cleaner, and then we're gonna go after the throttle body and clean that, which is right there. See, that's pretty filthy inside as well. All right, we got the plenum, upper plenum, the throttle body, the lower plenum all cleaned. Here's a better look at the valves, super clean. And get in this one. And go from the other side now. So there's no carbon on the valves, which is a great thing. There's just carbon buildup on this sort of the cylinder, and for the valves that are closed, I'm just gonna spray some carb cleaner. All right, guys, I finally got the two bolts off. The one in the corner, that was a pain in the ass to get out. And I also took off the what is this? The heater hose, the antifreeze hose going into the heater core right there. So now we should be able to take out the other. All right, guys, we got this side of the valve cover out. As you can see, there's a funky design here, so you're gonna have to get through this side. So either you can pull the valve cover back, or you can remove these 3 bolts on this solenoid area. But we were just able to wiggle it around, and I guess that's where it was leaking from. It wasn't set properly.
That's the problem.
Hey guys, since we got this side open as well, we're gonna take out the plugs and I'm gonna change them. All right guys, we've cleaned both valve cover gaskets with brake cleaner and a wire brush. Here's the old gaskets. There was actually nothing wrong with the gaskets. They were just not aligned into the grooves, but you know, we're not gonna reuse them. We have our new gaskets right here. We're using a Fel Pro gaskets. So we're just gonna put these on. We'll be back. All right, guys, before we put on the valve cover gaskets, we're gonna put on the new spark plugs. Since, you know, everything's open, it's just easier to put on the spark plug, and also just to ensure nothing falls in there. All right, guys, we got all the spark plugs in there, and I'm gonna use my torque wrench and torque all these down to 25 foot-pounds of torque. We're gonna do that for all 6 of them. All right, guys, I've cleaned up the corners, scraped everything, but also gonna use some brake cleaner and do the edges, and then, you know, clean it again. You wanna make sure you have a clean surface. All right, guys, so I was putting on the valve cover gasket, had all the bolts in there, and I was torquing them according to specs, but one of the bolts slipped and got stuck. Hopefully you can see that. So now we're gonna have to drill this out and make new holes. So we're gonna not use a torque wrench now when we put it back together. We're just gonna tighten it and get a good feel for it. All right. See, guys, we're trying to drill out the piece that fell in there, that got stuck in there. This is gonna be a process. Hey guys, it must be our lucky day. So we got the hole in there and our drill bit broke. Wow, amazing. All right guys, I'm gonna show you how much more fun this is. So our drill bit got stuck. So I broke off the end from the bottom, and now to get this out, I am taking a piece of nail and hitting it with a hammer on the bit to hopefully get the bit to fall down. This is not what we planned for, and it's almost there. So again, be very careful when you're torquing these screws, otherwise you'll be like us. All right, guys, I finally got it out, and now the nail is stuck. This just gets lovely. All right, so you can see our drill bit piece right there. So I'm gonna take a magnet. Wow, look at that. All right, guys, so I got this fix the thread hexi coil kit, which comes with a M6 tap, some hexi coils, and this to tap it. Here's the part number. Hopefully you can see that. 35069 from Advanced Auto. And I've made my hole, and I've already tapped it once. You know what I did is I put this in there. And what I found, the best socket that works to put on this is sort of between a size 7 and an 8. But I found a 1/4 works perfectly. So I'm just gonna move this slowly and make some new threads. All right, so now we have tapped our hole. Now we're gonna use one of these hexi coils and put it on this device. This little handle. We just put one of these on. Make sure to focus here. And you want to make sure the side with the G is on the bottom. So we just put this on. So I'm gonna do this with one hand. So I got it on there, and now I'm gonna put it in the hole, and I'm gonna turn this, and that will make a new thread permanent. So hopefully, guys, you can see that we have a new thread, and I'm just gonna take a bolt. 1 second, just to see. If this is gonna work. Perfect. See, it's all the way till the end. All right, guys, so this is how you fix a damaged thread, or if you over torque something and the nut slips and gets in there. Hopefully this helps. All right, guys, I got the valve cover gasket back in. On the driver's side, I got the coils in, I got the connectors in. I just got to tighten the bolts now, and now we're gonna try to put everything back together. All right, guys, got both valve cover gaskets in. And remember, we took out this vent hose, and when we took it out, as you can see, it's a little brittle. It was brittle, and the edges sort of, trying to get it to focus. Well, they cracked a little. So what I did is I went to Advanced Auto and just got another hose, and that's gonna work. So we're just gonna slide that on now. All right, guys, so now I've installed the lower plenum. First thing I did is sort of slid this hose in, and then aligned it with the 2 brackets back there, the one right here. And now I'm putting my bolts back in. Remember, I labeled them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll take out the tape and put in 2 and 3, and then I'll torque those. All right, guys, I got the upper plenum all seated, and we're gonna try to put in connectors as we go through. This is the throttle body connector. Remember, this hose was for the coolant, and that's gonna go right there. Hopefully you can see that right there, but I'm gonna put it on at the end. There were a few vacuum lines that I had to reinstall. Let me just remind you all. Here, there was this one. There was one underneath it right here. And then I had also taken out this, which goes into this vacuum line. And you know, you can start aligning things. That goes there. This little bracket. You can see I'm moving it, but it goes. The screws are gonna be seated right here. I still have a connector right here. Can't remember what that's for, but we'll find it. This hose is gonna go right there. All right, guys, I'm gonna put this on now. All right, guys, I just wanna tell you to double, triple check everything, all your connections, all your hoses before you start screwing everything down. I noticed I had one connector where I couldn't find the associated connection. So I looked around, and then I also remembered I had to connect this hose right in the back of right there in the valve cover. And I know this hose will go inside that little, there's a little nipple right there. Hopefully you can see it, right between the throttle body and the side of the plenum. And got this hose, got that hose, got both those hoses, got the hose underneath. And this is the connection I couldn't find. It was buried underneath. So got everything, and gonna bolt my electrical connections here. And then I remember when I started this process, I had labeled on my bolts and I had labeled the plenum. So I'm gonna go back and install everything according to order. All right, guys, I've hand tightened all the bolts, and I'm gonna go in a zigzag pattern. And you know, especially for the middle ones, those are the ones that are really different in sizes, and number 9, according to my label here. So again, zigzag, and I'm gonna torque these according to specifications. All right, guys, we got the intake back. I'm just gonna put the last piece of the air filter, and which connects to the rest of the intake. And then I got my MAF airflow sensor here. And we got to put a few more pieces out in the front. And then I got the engine cover over there. I'm not going to put that on right now. I'm just going to put the intake on, start the car. You're going to put the battery terminal back on, the negative one, which I took out, and see how it goes. Car started fine. You know, no lights. All right, guys, we got everything back assembled. The car started, no lights, no issues, no leak. Well, this was a exhaustive and tedious process. So we hope that you learn how to change your valve cover gaskets, how to seat the valve cover gaskets, how to change the spark plugs, look at the coils, take out all these connections, put in the vacuum lines, and also how to make another thread if you need to with the part that we ordered. So, you know, it is not an easy job. It's a time-consuming job. Some of these bolts are hard to get to sometimes. But it is something that you can do with some time and patience. So again, hope this helped. Please like and subscribe. Again, another video by You Can Do It.